It seems like I got nothing to do. Hit up SimFBallCritic Radio. I'm listening to one of the top podcasts, and they bringing you the real. And when they talk sports, it feels like you want to feel. From real talk to real sports, from Madden to 2K. Just listen for one day, they'll grab you and you say it's on the net, man. Turn off your stereo, not music. I mess with SimFBallCritic Radio.
What's up, folks? What's up, folks? Yes, I sound happy and I sound excited because guess what? We are right around the corner from E3. And we're on the verge, man. I put this actually in the description of the show, but we're on the verge of what could be one of the best years for sports video games. And we will definitely explain that as we get into the topics. But what's going on, everybody, man? I'm glad everyone is tuned in. For you guys online, I'll go ahead and give you this information in advance. If you want to reach us when we open it up for the callers, we are available at 914-338-0794. And, for everyone else who knows the script, we'll go through the topics. We're going to hit the topics real quick tonight. Smitty and I, we both agreed that we tend to talk a little too much, so we're going to try to knock out the topics, and then we'll just leave room for as many callers as possible. But before we get started, before we jump into the actual topics, first let's give a shout out and a thank you to Jive Turkey. He always comes through. Well, he blessed us with the intro, so we appreciate that each and every week that we're able to use the intro. As well, we definitely want to acknowledge episode 57, man. It's funny, every time we look at the episode number, I'm like, dang, man, doesn't even seem like we've been doing it that long, especially since coming from the previous show. So we're here, man. We're here to stay for the community. But anyway, man, before we get started, let's go ahead and check on Smitty and see how he's doing. What's going on, Smitty?
Nothing much, man. You're excited. I'm excited. You know what I'm saying? It's big things on the horizon, man. E3, sports gaming, got announcements coming out. A lot of stuff been coming out, hearing stuff about PEZ. Got more information coming out tomorrow. Some more information about NHL came out. Even about the PGA golf. That more stuff came out on that today. So the information is all building up, and next week, it's gonna be the download. You know what I'm saying? So that's gonna be the overflow. The floodgate gets kicked open. So I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, man, I'm definitely looking forward to it, man. And just to remind real quick some of you guys, Azure Fact, like we've told you before, he's in school right now on Thursday night. So he's not able to attend the show. From time to time, he say he would definitely try to pop in, maybe late. But we definitely want to give him a shout out. We're holding it down in his absence, and he's going for that master's degree, man. So we're definitely proud of him. So just to give you guys that update, because I know some people have asked, you may not have heard the show when he announced that, but, he's still here. He'll be back. But right now, he's taking care of some business. But, yeah, man, let's go ahead and dive right into it, Smitty, man, because like I said, we get to talking, man, and the next thing you know, we leaving only 30 minutes for calling. So we're going to jump on the topics quick. First and foremost, we will definitely recap the NBA Finals so far. We'll definitely talk about what we feel so far. Who currently has the advantage and why, who's been the most significant, as far as what player has been, the X factor or the most significant to either team, and, have our predictions changed at all. But then, of course, we're definitely going to dive into E3, and, as the description would say, E3 expectations and most anticipated games. I didn't really know how to give a description for this because this is going to be a wide open topic. There's so much that we will cover. But some of the things that we will discuss is, the obvious as far as, like, what are our expectations and what are our most anticipated games? What game do we think will leave the best impression? What surprises will be revealed at E3? Maybe some things no one has thought about. And then what do you guys, want to have covered at E3? As you guys know, I will be attending. I'm reaching out to the community. Like I said in the video I posted, there may be games that, your favorite genre may not be a game that I play. Please send me your questions. I will go into the interview if I'm able to do so and say, hey, so-and-so from YouTube or Twitter or what have you would like me to interview you. Here are his questions. I'll give you all the credit. But like I said, man, I'm going to E3 on behalf of us and you guys, the community. Because in all honesty, like Smitty said before, we don't necessarily need to attend E3, after attending last year. The experience part of it, excuse me, the experience part of it is kind of, we've already felt that, so really I'm just going now as a journalist, so to speak, you know what I mean? And I decided to go late, as most of you guys would know. So please, send me whatever questions you have. If you want to send me a tweet to let me know you have some questions, I'll give you my email address. Actually, I'll give it to you guys right now. It is SimFBallCritic@gmail.com. Send me a list of questions, man, and I will do that for you. Of course, we want to talk about Joe Montana being confirmed at E3. We're going to take a different approach, and shout out to guys like Virtual Football. I know, he did a topic like this on, the discussion panel that he holds on YouTube. And check that out, guys, if you haven't already. He has basically like a hangout. It's a good topic. But we want to kind of discuss, kind of tagging along on that and kind of find out, how we feel about the credibility of that article that was posted. And the question that I posed to Smitty and some other guys earlier this week is, why hasn't Damon Grove confirmed the article? I haven't seen Damon tweet the confirmation of Montana being at E3. Why hasn't anyone involved in the game said anything? And also we want to talk about, could the OS article be spot on about Joe Montana? Remember what they said as far as when information would come out. They said they would be saving it until E3, and then you wouldn't get any real info until about 3 to 4 weeks before the game launches. So we want to kick around that idea, how spot on are they in that regard? As well as what expectations do you guys have for Joe Montana in terms of E3 alone? Not just the game, but what is it that you're expecting to see, that you would hope to see, that's revealed at E3? And then last but not least, man, and I hope we definitely get through these topics because I definitely want to talk about this game. And, this may come up as we're talking about E3 as well. NBA Live 16, the cover athlete, and the trailer. That's the most recent information that's come out, so we definitely want to kick around our thoughts about the cover athlete and the trailer in general. What are your expectations for Live 16? What condition do you think the game is currently in? And, we kind of covered this last week as well, but we're going to ask the question again because we want to expand upon what we said last week. What will Live 16, will Live 16 officially be a direct competitor to NBA 2K16? And, I think me and Smitty both are kind of on the same page with that, and we'll kick that around. All right, so first and foremost, let's go ahead and knock out the NBA Finals recap. Man, Smitty, I know last week, when we both gave our opinion on what we thought was going to happen, and, I think we both came to the conclusion that if it's a physical game, if it's a gritty and a grind-out game, and, a shout-out to Stephen A. Smith, he said the exact same thing. If it's that type of game and the referees aren't calling the knick-knack and the ticky-tack foul, we kind of believe that Cleveland would edge the Warriors. And it's actually showing itself. It definitely looks like Cleveland is the more physical team. The Warriors are the more, and I hate to say this, but they're the more flashy, cute team, if you will. They're just shooting. The beautiful shooting, and they're all up and down the field. They move, up and down the court. They move the ball around. They get open looks, but they don't really have that down low presence. And like Harrison Barnes, man, and Draymond Green has kind of been like non-factor. I didn't think that they would be big time anyway as far as down low, but like Draymond pretty much disappeared in the last game. And Harrison Barnes, it's kind of like, whoa, they're not really contributing the way I thought they would. I thought, and it's funny because it would sound like I'm speaking out of Stephen A. Smith's head, but he said some of the same things I was thinking. You would have thought those two guys would be what Dellavedova is to Cleveland. Scrappy guy, the clean up, shots and these crazy rebounds or, getting down on the floor. I thought that's what I was going to see from Draymond and Harrison Barnes. But it looks like Cleveland is more physical. But with all that said, these games have been very close. It's not like the Warriors haven't been in position to win. Look at the last game. When they went up by 20, I was like, okay, they taking the heart away from the Warriors. But guess what? Steph Curry. They allowed Steph Curry to wake up, and he went crazy in the second half. This dude had 3 points in the first half, 24 points in the second half, but what he had, like 17 or 18 points in the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
You can't allow that to happen, man. You can't allow that. You got to make him feel like he's in a slump or get him frustrated. Because now I'm thinking tonight he going to come out and be like, okay, I ain't playing no more. This dude is, he's getting the best of me to some degree, but I'm going to show you that when I get that shot, it's going in. So I think it's going to be a tough game tonight. But just to flip it to the Warriors side real quick, and then I'll throw it to Smitty. I really think tonight they have to win this game tonight. And not because of the obvious, not because of the 3-1 deficit and all that they would be in. But, I guess it is part of the obvious. I don't think there's any chance that they could go down and come back and beat Cleveland 3 straight times like they've done, previously in the playoffs. That ain't going to happen. They don't have that makeup against Cleveland because Cleveland, like I said, is way more physical than them. Big boy in them. I mean, it's crazy watching it. Like, it's proven itself. You shut down Steph Curry, they ain't got no shot. Klay Thomas got off, and I think that was game 2 or 3, one of those games. Mm-hmm. He did his thing, but still, without Steph, man, that offense it just doesn't move. It doesn't seem like there's nobody else there that's to create. But when they went small, when they put David Lee in the game, you saw some turnaround. So I'm interested in seeing what's going to happen tonight, man, and see what Steve Kerr is going to do as a coach. Because Cleveland ain't have no answer for that. They was, the speed of the Warriors or what have you was a little too much for them when they went small. I don't know, I know basketball, but I can't say I'm the most detailed guy to really tell you exactly why this happened. But I could use my own eye test. When they went into the small lineup, Cleveland was having problems. And the thing about Cleveland, man, if they don't stop doing that isolation, I mean, okay, it has worked to some degree, but if they had any type of real offense, this series might not even be close. Because look at how many shots, even though LeBron is averaging 40 points, look at how many shots he's missing. So just imagine if half of those shots is buckets by either him with a high percentage shot or, somebody else scoring. I think they could almost be running away with this series, man, because I really think the physicality is affecting the Warriors. But right now, I'm not ready to change my prediction. I still think the Cavs will edge them out. But the Warriors win tonight. It's going to be very interesting. They're going to wake back up if they win tonight. They're going back to the Bay Area. They'll probably get that game, and then it gets interesting. So that's kind of my recap, man. We'll see what happens. What you think, Smitty?
Basically, I mean, it's going to come down to the Warriors being able to hit the outside shot, because that's basically why Cleveland is up. I mean, Curry. See, the thing is, what's happening in this series is Curry is being exposed. He's being exposed as a guy that is not going to go to the rack, and he's not going to take that contact. Like, he ain't trying to go to the rack unless it's a completely clear lane. He's not necessarily going in trying to draw fouls against bigs. He's not going in there, like Even if we down, we're just going to go in there and take the contact and do what we got to do. He's basically trying to roam around that arc and get a three-point shot. And that's not going to cut it, in this series. And that's one of the main things that I was looking at, that may be a problem. But see, last week in that game one, it was a whole different tale. Like, they were actually playing half-court ball with Cleveland, and they were hanging. They were down a bit, but then you seen them come up. So it was like, okay, well, they showing they can hang with these dudes in that kind of setting. And, their team basically have been beating teams on transition ball, primarily. That's why when you look at Draymond Green and Harrison Barnes and all these guys, they've basically been doing their thing in the transition. And that's what makes them look so good, primarily, is because of what they're able to do when you're moving constantly. But when you slow everything down, they really don't have many weapons to go to. They don't have that many resources.
Nope.
And the other thing is that who's the other big man that they could look at? Like, yeah, they just got David Lee back out there. So, yeah, of course, you see what Lee is bringing to the table, but that's going to be one of their key problems, is because they don't have a big. You know what I'm saying? And they need that. Like, Cleveland with their one big is outdoing what these guys are doing with. Well, I would say Bogut is their only big, but he's not a truly productive big man like that.
Yeah.
So that's an issue in that regard. So that's why I'm saying that. That's why I'm saying that. That's why I'm saying that when it comes to what they need to do for the rest of this series, they're definitely gonna have to get that. They're gonna have to be on point with the three ball, and they're definitely gonna have to start attacking that rack. Like Clay and all of them are gonna have to. You're gonna have to attack somebody and get some fouls drawn. Otherwise, it's a wrap. Because, like you said before, real talk, if Shump had that shot, if that shot didn't clank off the other side of the rim, that last second one that they had in game 2, hey, you never know. You never know.
3-0.
They possibly, it could be, we could be looking at 3-0 going for a sweep right now. So this is what I'm saying. Like, they may, and this is one other point too. Seeing how this team is performing the way they're performing and balling the way they're balling, this is the part that makes me upset. We look at Steve Kerr and say, yeah, he's got to make adjustments. But real talk, these are Mark Jackson's pieces. This is all his team. All these moves were all his. And he never got that chance to really, to take this team to that level and adjust accordingly. Because I think if it was Jackson there, he drafted these guys, Green and Barnes and all these dudes. He drafted these dudes, so he would know what to do in regards to the team way better than Kerr probably would. So this is why I'm saying, like, I feel that he should have, that's why I kind of feel like he definitely got slighted and got the short end of the stick in that regard. But nevertheless, these guys are gonna have to come together, bring it together, and they're gonna have to make a serious rally in this game 3, because this is basically do or die right here. Like, if they don't win this game, like you said, it's a wrap. It's definitely a wrap. And hey, look, and this is something I was talking about with Shakedown last night. Shout out to him. If LeBron, which LeBron would get the MVP, there's no question. He would get the Finals MVP. But real talk, he got to have Dellavedova standing right next to him on that podium, because real talk, who would have figured that brother would be coming out dropping 20 like that in the finals on that stage like that? So for him to come out and just do that all of a sudden, it's like, yo, you gotta give it to him on that one. Like, you know what I mean? At least have him up there on the podium. If they mess around and get that final, if they win the finals. So we'll see. But this should be a very interesting game. Like, is Cleveland gonna ice, the Warriors, or are the Warriors gonna come out and just attack? Because they can't come out there playing timid and look for the 3-ball all day. They got to get down in that paint and start attacking some dudes, flat out. So that's my take on it, though.
Yeah, you ain't never lied, man. And I forgot to even get to that point. Dellavedova, man. I mean, wow. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe Kyrie getting injured was meant to happen so they can see what they do have in a backup. The defense that this dude, I mean, he's just a nuisance, man. He just reminds me of like a Dennis Rodman type of dude. He all on the floor. He's at every ball. He's getting on people's nerves. But then he's scoring. He's putting up, like you said, 20 points or so, 15 to 20 points along with his scrappiness. I mean, and he has made some of the key plays in these close games. Like that crazy, ridiculous shot that he made on Steph Curry and got the foul. That was key right there. It's just crazy, man. But like you said, I'm sure LeBron will give him a lot of credit. But like you said, I mean, you can't deny somebody averaging 40 points a game and damn near a triple double each game. So it's like you already know how that is. Right. But he definitely has to give that credit to Dellavedova. That boy is, he's proven himself as a great defender at least. But all right, guys, the moment has come, man. Let's go ahead and talk about E3. Right around the corner. Yeah. Well, it will be happening officially E3 on Tuesday the 16th, but we can all get excited about Monday the 15th. But that's when the conferences are coming out. You got EA's conference, and I know some of you guys are anxious to see Madden or what have you. I would imagine, I'll have to double check, but I would imagine, once that stuff is shown, we can be a little more detailed about the game. I'm pretty sure as far as E3, we can give impressions. So at least by Tuesday, we can start talking more, about the game itself. And, definitely hope I'm able to get some footage. We know like last year, like we told you guys, just to give you the expectation, things kind of changed last year where a lot of games, not just Madden, but a lot of companies were not allowing their off-screen capture.
Yeah.
We were fortunate enough with Madden being game changers, we were able to get exclusive footage. And, I don't know for sure yet, but I can only imagine that it at least may be something like that. If you guys remember last year, Smitty and I and a couple other game changers had footage. So I would imagine I'll have something. But I just want to give you the lower expectation instead of shooting for the stars, and we'll see what happens. But other than that, I hope these other games, like I said, Montana being one of them, hopefully Montana allows some type of capture, all of these games. Like, last year we couldn't get a whole lot of games that people wanted to see. And that's just how it goes. But as far as the expectations, man, and most anticipated games, I mean, I said a lot of it in my video, and I definitely want to hear Smitty's take. But, man, I mean, come on, the elephant in the room, everybody's waiting for Joe Montana. And, we'll get into that a bit more. Well, I guess we could tie that topic into this one because, we're going to talk all about Joe Montana and the confirmation and all of that. So I'll hold that for just a second. But outside of that, man, I mean, I want to see games like the Division. Remember, and Smitty knows this as well. We was there last year, and it was there. It was like a demo plan. And then, they claimed that the game is not where they wanted it to be. Everyone was getting all psyched up about it after seeing that trailer before E3. And then you get to E3, and it doesn't quite look the same, and, nobody really can get hands-on with it. Then it gets delayed. So I want to see what's up with that. I want to speak to those guys and be like, look, what's going on with the game? Why was it delayed? When is it coming out? All of those normal questions. Arkham Knight, I'm interested in seeing that. I know I'm going to leave a whole lot of games off here, man, that I'm not going to remember off the top of the head. But I definitely want to see NHL, NBA Live. Definitely want to see NBA Live. And I'm sure we'll talk a little more about that, too, once we get to that topic. I mean, it's a whole lot of games. I mean, some of you guys saw the video, and I know I named more games there, but it's, just trying to think of them here. Can't really think of them. And, all of the shooters, I'll definitely check out Call of Duty just to see what that's about, even though I don't play it. But, the day that they make a game that I enjoy, I'll be back and play it. So I'll be looking for that. Rainbow Six Siege, I want to see what that's about. Gears of War here is going to be there. Definitely want to see, what they're doing in that arena. And I believe, what's the other one? Metal Gear, I think, is going to be there.
Okay, yeah. Phantom Pain.
Get this one. Yeah. Uncharted 4. Like, that's one of the main games I want to see. And a lot of people don't know that, but I'm a huge Uncharted fan. I played the game when I didn't have a PS3 or a PS4. Obviously, I have now, but like my nephew had it, so I would play it from time to time. So I'm kind of up on that game. I loved it, so I definitely can't wait to see what Uncharted 4 is all about. But those are really my anticipated games, and I'm sure as Smitty gives his brief list, I'm sure I'm going to say, oh yeah, I forgot about that one. And Madden, I mean, Smitty probably would agree with this. I'm not all that excited about seeing it. I already know everything there is to know about Madden. I'm more excited to be able to talk to you guys about Madden and, getting your take on the things that you see or questions that you want to ask. Because as we all know, E3 doesn't show everything. Even back in the day when we could see tons of Madden videos, games nowadays, you have to play them. You have to put time in. Because let's think about it. How many people have you seen in the past with any game? They play it for an hour or two and they're like, I don't really see nothing. But then a month or two later, they kind of like, yo, you know what? I spent some more time with it. I'm starting to see some stuff that I didn't know about. And that's the God honest truth, man, about these sports titles, especially a game like Madden. Now let's be honest. We know with Madden, everybody knows what it's missing. We all know that. We all still complain and we give feedback on things that the game needs. But you have to understand a game like Madden and even a game like, I'll even say 2K, for example, like 2K basketball. To me, NBA 2K doesn't feel a whole lot different than it did from like 2K12. I felt the difference in 2K11, and I think everybody agrees, whoa, that was the game right there. But then when I started playing it more and more like 2K15, I could see, the little things, the little nuances here and there, but it took me some time because initially I kind of felt like, it ain't no different really than 2K14. But I had to spend time with it to really understand that. Same thing with NBA Live. Live 14, it wasn't for me. I played it enough to find out what little stuff it had that was good. Live 15, as you play it more, you start to really see the core that they're building, even though it's still an ugly game to look at, as far as in motion. But now I have an understanding of what the core of that game is, so it has me a little excited about seeing what, Live 16 is going to be. But other than that, not to stray off the point, my expectations, man, I'm expecting to be blown away by all of these games. And I really am. That could be high expectations, but let's face it, guys. We're on these consoles that's supposed to have all this mega power. This is basically the third year of development for a lot of these games. So I'm looking to just be, feel like I felt when I saw The Order. When me and Smitty saw that, we looked at each other and was like, that wasn't no video game we was playing, was it? That's how I want to feel.
Right.
Not just because of the way it looked, but even the way that the smoothness of that game and how it moved and how it was seamless transition from gameplay to cutscenes. Like, I don't think that game got enough credit for just that alone. I haven't seen any other games to do that, in my opinion. I mean, some games I'm sure I haven't played. I haven't seen no other game that has that type of seamless transition from gameplay to cutscene. The Order, I mean, that's set a huge standard right there. But those are my expectations, man. When I see the Division, I want to be like, okay, yeah, it looked just like that original trailer. Feels good, hit detection is good. When I see NBA Live 16, I want to feel like, whoa, okay, all right, y'all trying to compete. third year. When I see Joe Montana, I want something to jump out. I'll give them a little more of a lesser expectation because I'm going to always give credit for a company being in first year of development. But there needs to be some things in there that makes us go, whoa. You know, whether that's animation or fluidity or pass trajectory, something in the game needs to pop out. You know, I don't expect it to be this mega game, but there needs to be something that we all see that, even if it's something that's, you know, not gameplay related, maybe it's a franchise feature, something. Those are the expectations I have there. But other than that, you know, I'm expecting for everybody to come away, you know, from E3 being very excited for the games that are releasing this year. Because like I said, man, in terms of sport, this could be one of the best years we've had in a long time. When you consider, like Smitty mentioned it earlier, PES, you know, that's direct competition, and myself and Smitty and NY Kia, I know for sure, we all feel like that PES, as far as player movement and fluidity, that's probably one of the top games right now, even better than FIFA. So I'm definitely, my eyes are open to that game because I never really looked at it like that. So those are my thoughts, man. I just can't wait to get out there. But what you got, Smitty, man? What kind of expectations you have overall? And, you know, what are some of the games you're dying to see and hear about?
Well, I mean, like, I'm not really looking forward to Division because I already know that game's not coming out till next year. So I'm not really worried about that. I'm not worried too much about Uncharted. Like, I mean, it'll be cool to see what it is, but once again, that's another game that's not coming out till next year. So there's not really much expectation for a game that's not going to be coming out until next year sometime.
Right.
Other than just seeing, you know, what they show at this moment, and it's like, okay, but show me, you know what I mean? Like, I'll be more wowed, or I should say more intrigued when it gets closer to that release date. Now I'm looking forward to Rainbow Six Siege because that comes out in the fall. As well, I think that comes out October. And then of course the Phantom Pain that comes out I think in September. That Metal Gear. So I'm definitely looking forward to what they, you know, what else they show in regards to those games. I haven't really paid attention to the whole list as far as games, like what's going to be coming, because really all I'm really focused on is the sporting side of it. So I'm not really, you know, I don't really have a list as far as other games. Like really outside, as far as EA is concerned, I really am looking as far as the Need for Speed. I want to see that, you know, how that is. Battlefront. You know, no doubt about that. That's Star Wars. So I definitely, you know, want to see what's up with that because they teased that at last year's E3. They just did a little tease about that. Same thing with the PGA Golf. Like, I'm definitely, you know what I'm saying? I want to see more, like, you know, in regards to that game. So no doubt about that. But as far as sports are concerned, I mean, like, you know, like what you basically said, Sim, about live. You know, 2K, see, 2K, it's improved. And I'm talking about 2K15. It's an improved game, but I can still I could pull out NBA, I could pull out 2K14 last gen and still have a greater time with that to an extent than with 15. You know, the only thing, like, there's few things that it lacks, obviously, but it's not the true definitive basketball experience. It's the best one between that and live, but it's not the definitive overall experience where it's like, OMG, these guys achieved it. It's there. Is it like, no, you know, we're still, like you said, we're still looking for that leap that 2K11 did. You know, I mean, if you play 2K10 and then you play 2K11, you can see where the big leap was. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's still, the game is, it is a good game, but it still hasn't made that true leap. And live, on the other hand, has been building up. You know, it's been building up to a point where it's like, you know, they may be able to do some damage because Live 15, outside the visual appeal, the visual lack of appeal like that, it has a lot of good stuff in it that is heavily slept upon in regards of presenting basketball when you play it. So it is a game that you got to play and truly appreciate from what it gives you, despite how rough it appears and how it feels to an extent. But I am looking forward to PEZ, no doubt. You know, with that, and you know, we're going to talk about the Montana bit and all that. But I will say this though about Live 16. I mean, yeah, it's a trailer. It's a teaser. There's not much to it. Okay, we all know that. But to see Russell Wilson and showcase that facial reaction he did with the eyes flaring up like that, the eye glare and everything, I haven't seen any game do that yet. I'm talking about sports game where they get big-eyed like that in the moment. So seeing that kind of expression, it makes me curious, like, if players go up for dunks, like, are we going to see all these different kind of reactions possibly, like guys folding their lip in and you know, getting wide-eyed as they go up for a windmill and all that, like how you see in the still shot of players going up for dunks and stuff at times. Like, are we going to see that kind of stuff come into the live fold? Along with that live motion, I'm real curious about how that is, considering how the physics were done in Live 15. And then you talk about the player logo that's been built upon from Live 14 to 15. How far did they take it with 16? And the other statement about the best-in-class animations. I'm like, best-in-class? You know what I'm saying? So, see, they're setting a high, and that's the other thing that I like, too. They're setting a high bar for themselves. Because they're clearly playing from behind, and they're setting this extremely high bar like they got to represent and come through in a big way. So, you know, looking forward to see what these guys do and what they unveil at E3, and hopefully there's some off-screen, you know, some stuff that could be shown publicly, but I doubt it, but hopefully there's something shown publicly of some raw, straight-up gameplay that we can all, you know, consume for the time being. So, but that's what my expectations and everything lie at. It's really just in the sports hub. It's not really in the, you know, everywhere else outside of a few key titles. And plus, like I said, I haven't just been paying attention. But one thing I will say, though, from what you said real quick, Sim, about Montana, you have an expectation, but it's not going to be over the top in regards of it. Now, see, I have high expectations. While they are realistic, but from a community standpoint, this community gassed the heck out of that Unreal 4 engine. So I'm expecting big things to happen with this game. You know what I'm saying? Now, if it doesn't happen, am I going to be upset? No, I'm not going to be upset. But it's just going to be, you know what? Now we found out what the reality is, that these guys are going to have to build, because whatever Montana has, they're going to have to build from whatever starting point they begin with. And that's just the reality of it. So hopefully they have a really good start out the gate with this first game. But hopefully we'll see if it's, you know, if it's at E3 confirmed, because everything is rumored, no confirmation from no devs or nothing. So who knows, you know, at this point. But hopefully it's good. So we'll see.
Yeah, man, and we can actually pick it up right there, man, and just go ahead and talk about NBA Live. Well, no, actually, I'm skipping down one. Go ahead and talk about the Joe Montana bit, man, because that goes along with the E3. Like you just said, I don't know, man. And I said this earlier, I think on Twitter. I have concern about Joe Montana, and I'm going to tell you why. I understand this could be a different approach. You know, maybe they're deciding to market the game a little different. I don't know. You know, and I'm not going to question that. I don't work for the company. Like Azure Effect always says, I don't have a degree in marketing. So I can't tell someone who's right or wrong. Maybe they know what they're doing. But I can only use my own common sense. And never do I recall since, you know, gaming has been on this type of front, you know, as far as having things like the internet and E3 and a lot of these different gaming conferences, you don't see games just keep quiet. That doesn't really happen nowadays. Let's just use some common sense. And I'm not saying we're not using common sense. I'm just using that in the figurative, term. Let's just think about it for a minute. Think about everything that we all know about gaming. Think about the stuff that some people, in the gaming world, what usually happens around April and May? People are always like, where's the information? Why EA so quiet? They ain't saying nothing about Madden. June comes around. What's up with 2K, man? They won't even at E3. What they doing with 2K basketball? You get closer to other games, like, you always hear like a Battlefield or something is coming out in November, but they tell you early. But people are always like, yo, I ain't heard nothing else about that Call of Duty. When they gonna say something? The reason why we all do that is because that's what you're accustomed to. That's what games do. These companies, you have to advertise. And I'm sorry, man. Maybe I'm the only one who feels this way. There's nowhere in the world you're going to get me to believe that E3 is this is just going to propel your game to the next level. No. Believe it or not everybody worries about E3. How many people have you bumped into that are hardcore gamers? Think about it. And they be like, oh, E3 happened? Dang, I ain't know it was that then. I thought it was later in June. Oh, I thought it was in July.
Yep.
Everybody, not everybody is sitting there waiting and got their computers ready to watch E3. No. That to me, okay, it's a big stage, but that doesn't mean anything because the best we can hope for, we would think that the game comes out this year. And logic would tell you they're probably going to come out, try to compete with Madden maybe sometime in August. Or maybe it comes out in July, like with the Operation Sports, post alluded to. But then that makes me think again, why would you wait? If what they said in that article is true, why would you wait 3 to 4 weeks before you're released to start giving information? Do you really think that's enough time? Is that really smart business? I'm just saying, man. I'm not trying to knock the game because I don't care what some people may think. I want this game to be great. Tony the Tiger great. But it concerns me because I've just never seen this type of behavior from a company that's trying to sell a product. It works sometimes, for you people who are into music. The Queen Bee, Beyonce, she dropped the album without telling nobody, and it went crazy. But you know why that happened? Because they know who Beyonce is.
Right.
Nobody has no idea what Joe Montana. All we know is what they're saying. Oh, it's been 24 years. That's the only thing you know. Some of these people and a lot of people who are playing these football games ain't even 24 years old. So do you really think those guys are going to buy Montana? Prime example. Shout outs to my boy, Anto the Ball. My man Anto is like around that age, maybe a little bit younger. And you guys know him, from YouTube, does his YouTube thing, big time YouTuber. You think he's going to waste his time with some Joe Montana? He's probably never played it. You understand what I'm saying? So you have to get him to buy your game. Those are the people who need to buy your game, not SimFBallCritic, Smitty, AzurFact, NYKia, EJ81, 757, Virtual Footballer, Kid, Regular Dave, all these. Not us. We ain't the ones. We the small crowd. Remember, we're the small minority. We don't matter when it comes to the sale. We buy it anyway, just because we want to feel something else. So that's why I'm concerned, man. And again, leading to the topic, I didn't see a tweet from Damon saying, yeah, we're going to be at E3. I haven't seen that. These are all third-party articles. It's very easy. And listen, and for the websites, I'm not even going to say their names, but I'm not attacking them. But it's very easy for even me to come out and say, yo, I spoke to Damon Grove. He told me that they're going to be at E3. If I said that, if I did a video about that tonight, wouldn't most of you guys be like, yo, Sim said, because you kind of respect who I am as far as me and a YouTube personality, so you can kind of take that as, oh, yo, he must know. So my point is, it's easy for a website to say, I spoke with so-and-so and I confirmed. And I'm not saying that it's a lie, but I'm just saying, even if that's true, why aren't the people involved with the game telling you that? We're going to be at E3. Y'all better be watching. Book it. It's going to be something great. That's what I would do if I was the guy. Y'all better have your eyes ready and your popcorn ready. Come E3. We got something to show you. That's what most people would do. They're not doing that. And again, shout out to Damon Grove. Damon Grove has been very, open and communicated with this community. But I have to be honest and call real for real. I told y'all, and I still have not heard back from Damon. And like I said, Damon, if you're listening, if this gets back to you, I'm not attacking you because I understand when you're in a certain setting. Maybe you're under a gag order right now. Could be very possible. Maybe you just can't say nothing, and I respect that. I truly do. But I got to state the facts. I haven't heard from Damon in over a month. I've asked directly on Twitter in a direct message, hey, man, hope you guys are there. I'm excited to see what you guys have. I would love to be able to do an interview with you if you're going to be there. Weeks later, I even came back and said, hey, I understand. If you can't confirm, that's cool. Just let me know. I'm cool with that. Haven't heard anything. So I'm just saying, it's all of this speculation around it. It has me very concerned about the game in general. And if they're even going to be at E3. I can't take what was said on the site as gold. Only because, and once again, because I know words like to get twisted. I'm not knocking the website or the sources. What I'm saying is when the horse isn't saying something, when it ain't coming out the horse's mouth, I have to raise an eyebrow a little bit. Like, I'm going to wait a minute until he says it. That's just fact. Same way y'all did me when I said 2K was supposed to be at E3. A lot of y'all was like, yo, that sounds good, but until 2K say something, we don't believe it. That's what you need to be saying about Montana. Let's keep it real. We don't know. The right people have not confirmed it, so I'm a little concerned, man. But real quick before I throw it to Smitty, as far as the post and, my expectations, like I said earlier in the segment, man, I'm expecting something or something in that game to have us looking like, woo, you know what I mean? Like we licking our chops like, oh, boy, I can't wait to get on that. Something. And just to give you the example, Backbreaker did that for a lot of us. For a lot of people still, even today, are still playing it. Because physics just captivated them. And they was like, yo, I know it ain't all the way there, but I can play this game and continue to play it because I love these physics. That is what I'm expecting from Montana. It has to be something in the game that grabs me like that. And even if it's not all the way there, which on record again, I do not expect it to be the end-all, be-all game, not the first year. But it needs to be something there that makes me feel like, whoa, this is dope. I can't wait to see what they do next time. And as far as the OS post, the only refute I have to that is I tend to believe what Hip Hop Gamer said a little bit more. And it's only one part of it, the NFL thing. Everything that he said kind of tied along with the OS post, and from what we're seeing, maybe the 3 to 4 week situation is probably going to be, that's probably really going to happen, obviously. We haven't heard anything yet. But I don't know about the NFL. I don't know if I believe about that part in the OS post because, again, I said it last week. Why would the NFL allow them to be so quiet? What is the benefit for them? Remember, guys, they was pissed off at 2K for dropping the game in 1999, forcing Madden to lower their game, Madden 05. They got pissed. They went exclusive. So why would they not feel the same way right now? Be like, hey, buddy, are y'all going to tell somebody that we got a game coming or what? What y'all doing? NFL about that bread. So I'm holding on to that. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But I'm holding on to the fact that the NFL would want the game to be marketed, because if it doesn't sell, they don't make money either. But that's my piece. I know I went a little long, but Smitty, please let me know, man. Look, what are your thoughts on that?
No, I mean, basically, the way I feel about it is that basically what I was saying a few moments ago, man, the time frame makes it seem like it's a PC. It would be more of like a PC only kind of release, because a PC game will do that, especially if it's like an independent developer. PC games will just drop a game out there like that, and just, like, they can come out, they can present it in a few weeks or a week notice and just put it out there and see what kind of traction it draws and see what kind of buildup it gets from, what kind of steam and momentum it gets off of it. But when you're talking about a game of this, I should say of potentially this magnitude, and people are talking it up like this is supposed to be that riveting, game that's gonna be a genre-defining title, it's gonna take a heck of a lot more than just a few weeks' time to figure out what the true worth of it is going to be. We're not gonna figure that out, and like, that's gonna be hard to get that kind of draw off of that short period of time like that. So what I'm saying is that what needs to be done. What needs to be done is, well, actually, I really don't know what needs to be done, to be honest. I'm drawing a blank, because this is baffling that they're doing it this late. So, what they need to, let me see here. Well, basically, you know what, from your point, because I'm drawing blanks on it, the point you made, you basically had hit the nail on the head with it. What they need to do is, it's like when you brought up the Beyonce example. She's been doing her thing as an independent artist for several years. And that's the key thing. Several years building up her name. And then, let's not forget, she was the lead singer of Destiny's Child. So you're talking since 97, 98, all the way up till now. She has a whole legacy in front of her, to the point where she could just drop at a short notice like that, and word of mouth will, really carry the weight for her. When we're talking about football gaming, you're talking about a whole nother animal here. We're not talking about, and especially when we talk about PC gaming, we're not talking, you had the situation with the Cities game where you had that kind of scenario where, Sims dropped the ball, so Cities came in and it took that crowd and it sold all these copies and everything, or I should say got a lot of online digital downloads. That's true. But that's a whole different crowd we're talking about. How many people play those kind of sim-type games? That just enjoy playing those games. Like, that's a whole nother audience you're talking about that I'm pretty sure is way larger in size in terms of how many people play those games versus, a sports gaming genre. And it's not the same kind of deal, especially when you're talking about playing a game like a Montana football. You really don't know what kind of traction it's going to gain, because when you look at the sports gaming side of it, the only big game that's really drew a decent number of sales was FIFA. You know what I'm saying? And that's really it as far as the PC gaming side. And the thing is, even the PC gaming does not draw it failed in comparison to console. Even when you look at Skyrim, that game sold a good number of units on PC, but the consoles beat it. Like, the sales doubled there. And what you're talking about is, we're not talking about League of Legends, World of Warcraft, Skyrim, Fallout, or a Call of Duty or Insurgency or whatever, or a Counter-Strike. We're not talking about those genres of games and that following. All of a sudden saying, you know what, skip all these shooters and RPGs, skip all that. I'm about to go over here and play this football game. It's not the likelihood of that going down is very slim. Now, do I feel that the football gaming crowd, you'll see a lot more people come out from it? It could. It very well could. But I just don't think that it's going to carry that much weight out the gate, that it's just going to amass like 4, 5, 6 million in sales out the gate because it's on PC, let alone, on Xbox, we're assuming at this point. So it's really a wait and see. Like, I hope I'm wrong. I mean, that would be outstanding to see that happen, but I just seriously hope that, I seriously doubt that'll happen considering it is such short notice before release. So, I'll pass.
Yeah, man. It's tough situation, man. I mean, we try to keep level heads over here, man, here in the AFC. But you have to, man. You just have to keep it level, man. And like I said, it's not an attack on Joe Montana. It's just, even if any game was doing this, I would be saying this ain't good. That's the division. Look at the division. And we said the same thing about them. It was like, what? They was real quiet. And they was real quiet even at E3 last year. And then when we saw it, me and Smitty both kind of was like, that don't really look like that trailer look. Emotional or anything. You could see some good, but it just didn't look like what they showed us in the trailer. And look what happened. Now they say, oh, it's delayed. It ain't ready. See what I mean? Like, we just try to use our own common knowledge with these things, man. But moving on, man, to the last topic. I think we're doing pretty good with time. We got 1 hour and 2 minutes left right now. Just to do a quick check. I see there's a lot of calls in the queue. Not everyone has pressed 1, of course. We have 2 callers who are actually waiting to speak. So let me go ahead and do this quick announcement, and then we'll get to the last topic. If you're listening online, guys, we'll definitely be bringing in the calls shortly. If you want to call us, press 1. If you're online and you want to call us, definitely reach us at 914-338-0794 and press 1 to be placed in the queue, and we'll bring you in, in order that the call is received. And then, of course, first and foremost, we'll bring 757 in to allow him to do his thing. And then after that, we'll get it open. As of right now, it looks like the order after that will be 205-337 803 and then 407. All right, so we have some calls lined up. So let's go ahead and attack the next topic, which is NBA Live, cover athlete, as well as the trailer. So we'll just kick around some quick thoughts here. Some of this we may have already covered, but as far as the cover athlete, I like that. Definitely like that pick. And I kind of see somewhat of a trend, with NBA Live. If you see, like, they had Damian Lillard last year, and, they're not going for, they're going for stars in their own right, but they're not doing, and this could be because of 2K, who knows, but they're not doing, like, the obvious guy, if you will. They're not doing LeBron or, let's just say if Kobe was still in his prime, they're not doing, like, Kobe or, the people that you just know is going to be on the cover. They're taking a different approach. Like, with Madden, you can almost guess, yeah, that's who's probably going to be on the cover. Even though they do a vote, or so to speak, you assume who's going to be on it. Like, there was no surprise that Richard Sherman was placed on the cover last year. Not a huge surprise that Odell Beckham, based on what they're basically going for this year, is on the cover. But I think with NBA Live, we haven't always been able to guess who it was going to be. At least I haven't. Excuse me, guys. I got a little tickle in my throat there. Apologize. But I like the pick. I definitely like that. I like what I saw, man, for the most part. And, like Smitty said as well, we're not really the guys that, I've never been a guy that can really break down a trailer. So I don't want to attempt to do that. But from what I did see in the trailer, I mean, to me, it looks like the player movement has improved greatly. I mean, I know it's not a whole lot to show, it's not 5-on-5, obviously, and you can't see what everyone else is doing. It's mainly focusing on Westbrook, his facial expressions, him dribbling and, dunking the ball or whatever. Who even knows if that's in-game gameplay? I would assume it is. But all in all, let's just say if it is, then I'm a little impressed by how the motion looks, because that automatically kills NBA Live 15 and NBA Live 14. So that automatically makes me a little excited about that. As far as my expectations, man, I said it in the early piece. I'm expecting for the game to really be that competition, man. Not a direct competition, like not apples and apples. It more so like, do I feel like apples are there? Or do I feel like oranges? They're both good. You know what I mean? Like it's no longer, apples and cauliflower. And I know that was random, guys, but you understand what I'm saying? Like most people are gonna eat an apple before they just eat a raw piece of cauliflower. Whereas now, if you're in the mood for fruit, you'll eat a piece of, of an orange, or you might eat a piece of an apple. And that's kind of what I want live to be now. This is the third year. I know you're making your way back. But by now, it should at least be a decent, like a respectable competitor where I can say, you know what, I prefer to play live. I can't say that right now. I'm actually playing Live 15 right now. Like I told you guys, actually I got a video going up, ironically, in about 10 minutes or so, explaining, basically what I'm talking about here and saying how I'm playing a lot of live this week because I'll be seeing Live 16 next week. So I really wanted to dive in and, really feel the game out so I can obviously see the differences, the way it feels, how it handles, all of the ins and outs, so I can at least give it a fair comparison when I see it. Try to familiarize myself with live a little bit. But that's how I feel, man. Now, in this year, it has to be, the third year has to be that game when we all are like, yeah, okay. Just keep working at it. Y'all there. Y'all getting it. It can't have the same feel as 15 and 14, how we're kind of like, oh, there's some good things underneath, but, to quote my buddy NY Kia, he said, okay, the core is good, but now it needs some personality. That's exactly how I feel. Now it needs a little more on the bread, not just the bread. Now I need to put some, some spread on it, maybe throw some cheese on it. Now it needs to start developing a little more than just the core, key element. So that's kind of how I feel about it. And, as far as the expectations and, if I think it will be a competitor, I think it has the ability to. If that player movement, just judging off of 15, if the player movement is legit and fluid, and if they can focus on, getting the physics right, like Smitty probably can answer, can speak on this more than I can. In the paint, you still have them situations where the physics seem like sometimes they don't even matter. I mean, guys are just getting pushed back. They're sliding 10 feet back and then falling to the ground. It's like it's no real physical contact, even though it is physics in the game, if you know what I'm saying. If they can get that stuff right, where the defense really feels like they're bumping each other and it's legit, and the player movement, we got a nice game to play, man. Because I'm going to tell you, live got some stuff. Ball tangibility, even AI. Not all the time, but there's times where the AI and the head tracking are pretty good in live. I got videos coming to show it. It shocked me because I just didn't believe what I was seeing because, like I said, I had written it off because 2K is just the better game. So I think it can be a competitor if it attacks those areas. But what you got on it, Smitty?
I mean, basically, the same points that you basically have with it. You know, really looking to see this game. I think they primed themselves to be in a better position the first two games. And as you see progressively over the year, it's like they keep building and building and building on it, and then they take it over to the next title. So, from what they've done with 15, I'm definitely looking forward to see the leap they make with 16. But yeah, now as far as looking at the two games, I feel that 2K is definitely the better looking basketball game, but as far as 2K being the better playing basketball game, there's an asterisk on that. You know what I'm saying? Because there are elements within Live when it comes to basketball, like just basketball principles that they do a better job with. As far as AI, as far as like ball, like you said, the ball tangibility, the player physics. Even though the physics, it's like the offensive player has more. The offensive player gains the favor with the physics. Like I could go in the lane with Curry, go up against a big guy. And what will happen is they'll make Curry, they'll make the defender's body bend and contort according to whatever the offensive player does versus it being, the opposite. Like Curry is a small guy going up against a bigger body. He should be taking the blunt end of the contact in that case. And he should be flailing a bit more, with the organically from physics due to that contact. And while they do have animations that play that out at times, what I'm saying is that it needs to be more of a constant, a lot more consistent. If they just branch out, what Live needs to do is they need to, number one, show love to the big man for sure. Show more individuality with the animations when it comes to all the different types of players in the game. As well as we definitely need to see some post-up game in there. Like, we need to see some real post-up movement going on in there. And I think the game will be very solid. And then, like I said, as far as the teams are concerned, have team and player-specific play calling, like they had in Live 10. They had it in Live 10. So, with the whole play calling system they had then. So that's why I'm like, you look at what NBA 2K has now at this point, that's what was done in Live 10. It was already there. So they just need to get back to that in terms of how the play calling was, and they'll be right back in the thick of things. But what they must have, as far as modes are concerned, because they said they got and more in terms of the modes, in terms of being better and all that stuff, they must have live runs. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about that. Live run must come back. So, that to me is going to be, number one, the live motion. Number two, all the other things that we both are talking about. But number three, live run must come back for this game to adequately compete. You know what I'm saying? And make sure that it's not a glitch and cheese fest like you see in 2K with the rec center and the park and all that. All that cheese and stuff going on, they have a chance to beat that out. Because one thing you notice when you play live, because live doesn't have, like, this is my last point, because live doesn't have all those animated sequences, those full-on drug out where you just stuck and got to go along for the ride, the reason why their game looks funky at times because of the lack of it is because they're giving you more organic gameplay. You know what I'm saying? They have shorter, and what I mean is, like, they have shorter animations. So I may have an animation where I get bumped and it'll be a short one, but I could cross over my defender and take him to the hole, and it's going to be two completely separate animations. And it'll look funny because the defender and I aren't tied into a sequence. So, and that's what makes 2K basketball look so beautiful and elegant, is because, you're married into all these sequences all the way. With, you have some independence, but you're married into this sequence where this animation, you're going to bump into him and do this circus shot layup. But this other animation, you're going to take a hard hit and slam the ground real hard. Like, there's no real organic variable to it. It's just a slot machine kind of deal. So that's what I like that Live has. Live has a lot more independent in that sense. So that's why I'm really looking forward with this movement. And they said best in class animations and all that. I'm holding them to the fullest extent of that. And I definitely want to see what these guys are bringing to the table in regards to those statements they made. Because they're playing from behind. They put the statement on themselves. So they put all that pressure on themselves to live up to to live up to it and deliver to their own standard here. Or the standard, I should say. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, man, and one thing that I noticed, I'm actually looking at right now, Madden could definitely borrow from Live in terms of living world. I just had a play, man. I'm playing with New Orleans, and I got a rebound, and I went back up with Anthony Davis, got the dunk. Blake Griffin went up too late, so he dunked on him. And I look at my bench. The bench players start jumping up as they see him going up to rise for the dunk, not after the dunk. They acknowledged him getting the rebound, and then when they saw me cock it back and go up, they jump up off of the bench. And, of course, when he gets the dunk, then everybody's celebrating. And each player is doing something different. Not like Madden's generic, the guy clapping and the one guy doing the old school Arsenio Hall, like the roll of the fist. You know what I mean? Like, just little stuff like that. Madden could definitely borrow from that. But anyway, man, let's go ahead and get to these callers. We did pretty good tonight. We can still get a little better, but we got about 47 minutes now, so that's better than we have been in weeks. So, like I said, we're going to bring in 757 first, and then the order after that, once again, will be 337 and 205. I think 205 was actually on first. He may have called, because he may have called back because now he's only been on for about 10 minutes. So let's reverse that. 205 will be first, then 337. Then after that, 803, and then 407. All right, so as of now, we got 757 in. What's going on, man? What you got for us tonight?
What's going on, fellas? Just got a few more days. Just got a few more days before the truth. For the details of what's gonna be will be. Now, I hate to get on this Joe Montana thing, but it's so confusing. These boys must feel like they got a stone cold bone crusher, man. I mean, what else could it be for them not to have put out no information? Like, they must really feel like they got a killer on their hands. And the question is, are they going to be there and are they not? We're hearing all this information from everybody, and it's just so confusing why they just hasn't confirmed a yes or a no. So either they come in with all their guns blazing, or they not. And if they not, that's going to look so bad on the brand of the people who has created this hype machine that doesn't exist. At the end of the day, if Joe Montana does not show us anything at E3, all these other people have created a hype machine that it doesn't exist. And that would be so bad for them because in a certain instance, they didn't create it. I can understand they was tweeting certain information and saying this and that, but they have it. It's been the thirst for another game that has created this snowball that I just hope that they can control. I mean, it leaves you with this what the hell moment. As far as Madden, man, we know what's about to happen. Madden has been they like a veteran ball player, man. They've been there and done it. They're going to give us what they're going to give us. They're going to show us what they're going to show us. They're going to do the interviews. They're going to break down the game and allow us to see it for ourselves and make our own judgment. That's what they do. That's what they done. I hit you on your voicemail, man. Shoot me that information. It ain't a lot to say, man, because the day is coming. Man, y'all fellas keep doing your thing. Keep building this great brand that y'all putting together, man. This Joe Montana thing has got me a little like, what the hell? Because for me, and I'll close with this. For me, I own an orthopedic shoe company for children with lower extremity disabilities. We are releasing our new shoes for the fall of 2015, and we've started the building process of this year coming up. We started that in April to get ready for the launch at the end of August. So I just don't understand why nobody has any information on yes or no, and when is the game coming out. Because with all the conspiracy theories, they make it seem like a couple of things. One, that this Joe Montana hasn't just been in the building one dev cycle. The way that they've been bringing this down the pipe is like this has been a game that's been developed for a few years. And two, maybe because they're new, this aspect of having the experience of how do we deliver a new football game to the community may be just a little bit confusing for them. How much information is too much information? What information do we want to do to the competitors? Because they may not want to release certain things because they might not want it mad to make certain adjustments to their game to balance out what they had versus what Joe had. Fellas, I appreciate your time. I'm going to let the other callers talk. SimF, just send me that information, man, so I can drop off that bag, brother.
No doubt, man. Well, you know, we always appreciate you, man. And, shout out to you, man, you know, with your company, you know, for, anytime you got stuff that's helping kids, man, that's great, you know, and helping people in general. But, and even just shout out for sharing that, because, you know, you don't want to have to share that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, the real ones usually do stuff like that, you know, so we always appreciate you, man. And yeah, you know, as far as the other thing, I'll definitely shoot that to you. And speaking of which, man, let me give an update on that. Again, I want to thank everyone who has actually donated to the cause. You guys know who you are. It's been a total of, 5 people. So you guys know what I promised. You know, I'll definitely do that drawing. I'll probably shut that down, after I shoot information to 757. And, you know, we're going to go ahead and go out there and, just for contrary, to people's belief, since, I'm not even going to get into that, man. Maybe I'll get into that later as far as the total and all that, because, you know what was said at first. Oh, he needs it, and this and this and that. And if I show you exactly what I got, you would be like, oh, okay, well, obviously he didn't need that. But anyway, like I said, man, I appreciate all of you guys who have taken time to do that. Again, to reiterate, everyone will be entered into the drawing. You know, some of you guys actually will be able to have your own spot here on the show of a night of your choice. And then as well, the YouTube plug and all of that. But we'll work all of that out, and I'm more than happy to, get the game. And good luck to all of you, because I don't know who's going to win. I might even do that live on camera so you can see. I'll take everyone's name down or whatever, do a little drawing, and there you have it. But let's go ahead and move on, man. Let's go ahead and get the callers. We have 205. We'll go ahead and grab him first. Let's go ahead and get to it. 205, man. What's going on with you tonight, man?
Pretty good. How are y'all?
Good, man.
Good, man. Can't complain.
I just want to talk a little bit about some of the things that's going on this week. I saw a VS video with Smitty and the guys that was in there. Whether I like some of the guys, or not, really I don't know them personally, just from what I've seen on Twitter. It's kind of funny to me how a lot of those dudes was hyping up the game. Nothing against them, but they hyped the game up, and now it seems like they're nervous about what's going on. Like, they're not really sure. And to me, I'd said this months ago that I don't think Joe Montana is even got a grip on what they're doing. Unless they're like 757 said, unless they totally got a home run and know it. I honestly don't know what to think. I think it's getting down to crunch time, and I think the game might not come out this year. Because I just, like I said a few weeks ago, to me, when you don't, do anything to push the game to the mass market, and E3 is usually used for a game that's going to come down the pipe later on in a couple of years, it just to me seems like you're going about things the wrong way. E3, hardcore gamers usually watch it, and, guys like us watch it, but not the casuals, not the people that just spend all the money on games, stuff like that. I just don't feel like I just don't know where to look at it at. Like I said, I hope I'm wrong, but it don't look like I am. As far as Joe Montana goes, or not Joe Montana, but Madden goes, I'm hoping this year is that turnkey game to where 17 is that game that gives us the full aspect of what we want. And just to see in that, the Frostbite 3 engine is coming out and other sports games is using it, I'd love to see Madden start using that. As far as live goes, I don't know what to think. I hope the movement's better and where everything feels more fluid. That way we'll have 2 great games on the market. To end the night, I know a lot of people ain't wrestling fans, but today, somebody I grew up watching, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, passed away. I just want to have a shout out to his family and for him to rest in peace. And condolences and prayers to his family. And that's it.
Wait. Did you say Dusty Rhodes?
Yeah, American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. Yeah, he died today.
Passed away today at 69.
Oh, man.
And
I didn't know that.
I'm a huge wrestling fan. He was one of my heroes.
Yeah, man. Hey, well, 205, thanks for calling. And I know you're still on the line to hear this. Dusty Rhodes, man, what? I used to be the biggest wrestling fan coming up. Like I know Smitty knows that. I don't know who else knows that. I was into wrestling like nobody's business. I'm gonna tell you what got me off of wrestling, and not really off of it, but I kind of lost interest in it because me being gullible as a kid, I thought it was real. I really thought it was real. Me and my mom used to go to, when they came in town, we'd go see them, and I think, just listening to what you said, 205, all of us kind of, came up around the same time, Dustin Rhodes and like Ultimate Warrior and Rick Rude. I mean, all of these dudes, like all of those guys. I remember when Sting came in. So I was definitely into wrestling, and, Dusty Rhodes is one of my guys, man. I'm definitely sorry to hear that. And again, like you said, shout outs to him and what he did and for entertaining us. And, prayers go out and condolences go out to his family because, I know that's a tough time. We've all been through it. But I don't really have much to say on what you said. I mean, I feel the exact same way. Maybe Smitty, man, if you got something, that you want to reflect on that before we move on. But I wholeheartedly agree with what he was saying.
No, I agree. I agree 110% with everything he said. So we just don't, the thing is that, I mean, like you said, like, yeah, people kind of are shying away and moving back from, how they feel in regards of Montana and feeling very weird right now because there's nothing else. Like, there's no true confirmation outside of the screenshots. And I mean, remember, the clips that were sent to the 2 individuals that got the clips were grainy off-screen footage. You know what I'm saying? So, and I mean, 3 seconds, that's nothing to get hyped about. So it's like, we need to see what they show, but you never know what could happen. They could showcase a trailer and all of a sudden everything is fully restored and the train is right back on the track. You know what I'm saying? The hype bandwagon will be right back on schedule. You know what I mean? So who knows what can happen? I wouldn't say bandwagon, but the hype train for it, I would say, would definitely be back on track. So we really don't know. But I will say this though, as far as Dusty Rhodes, I had heard about that earlier today. Rest in peace. Definitely condolences go out to the family. I remember seeing Dusty Rhodes, and I forgot the girl's name that he was rolling with, the sister that he was rolling with. I want to say it was Sapphire. I want to say her name was, like an older lady or whatever back then. And if I got it wrong, excuse me. I don't keep up with my wrestling history like how I used to back then. But I will definitely say, he was in that era. I remember back when Undertaker, before he was Undertaker, he was Mean Mark at WCW. You know what I'm saying? So, been watching this stuff like longest amount of time. And like Sim, I thought that it was all real. I only got the chance to go to one wrestling event back then. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when I went to it, like I was starstruck. Like I was just amazed. Like, oh wow, So what these guys do is an amazing. These guys are like some of the greatest. I will say this: they are some of the greatest stuntmen and women ever. Because for them to take the hits and play it off and manipulate it and do all this stuff, and sometimes they just be taking real damage, some serious damage. But I'm telling you, they do a great job. As much as they have to get up and do it over again, night after night, hey, gotta give it to them. So, but rest in peace to a primetime guy in Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream.
Absolutely, man. Man, sorry to hear that news, but yeah, man, rest in peace, man. We're definitely thinking about you and your family. So let's go ahead and move on, man. We're down to 32 minutes, and now we have 4 calls in the queue, so y'all know how I do. How we're going to do it, we'll go quick. So if there's any time left over, then we'll reflect in. But 337, we got you in live, man. We appreciate your call. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
Nothing much, man.
First of all, I want to say that Joe Montana football is going to be a great game, but unfortunately, not everybody's going to know that. And I tell you why. They're not, you already know where I'm going with it still. I hear you laughing already. But it is, they're not even trying to push the game out. They're not even trying to market it. Everybody's trolling the little 1-second football and all that stuff. That's not doing you any justice. That's actually downfall. And I think what they're doing is probably catering to those that are tired of Madden or just want something different, and they're trying to build a suspense to shock those guys into buying. But then you leave out all those that may be feared to transfer to something else and take a chance on a gamble that another company might be doing the same thing that Madden's been doing for years, and that's put under cheap products. And it's like, well, Madden is I'm tired of Madden, but is it going to be better than Joe Montana? It's like, should I stick with Madden anyway? You're losing those guys, and that's a lot of people to be losing out on. And I think that approach is not good. And also, it's just like when Hillary Clinton was running for president. My man Cat Williams said that, we don't know you, Hillary Clinton. We know Bill Clinton was a good president, but we don't know who you are. And she was all cocky, like she was already going to be president. And it was like, that's what Joe Montana is doing. They think they already got it locked because they hear the tweets, they hear the community complain about Madden, but those same people that complain about Madden get mad to break it down. So they're still supporting the game. So that's all I want to say about that. And I'll check you guys later. I'll be listening in the queue.
Oh, man, I love the Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton reference. But you make a very good point. Who knows? Maybe they're just aiming for a certain crowd. Remember what Hip Hop Gamer said. Remember he said this could just be a trial to say, hey, we're trying to do something maybe next year, the NFL thing, or maybe, who knows? But great point. Smitty, you got something on that before we go?
No, not really. We'll see in 4 days, man. Well, well, hopefully, in 4 days we'll see.
Yeah, and that's the part that still stings is we're still living with the hopefully. That Lord have mercy, man. But let's move on. 803, we got you in. Thanks for calling. What's going on tonight?
Hey, how y'all fellas doing? I had something I wanted to mention. I hadn't heard a lot of talking about, and I wanted to, number one, ask you guys, do you have any insight on what the developers may be thinking along these lines? And number two, if not, maybe you can, put a bug in their ear for us. But I'll start by saying I don't play MUT at all. I never have. But at the same time, I love GOAT rosters. Every year when I get 2K basketball, I run two franchises. I run one with the current rosters, and then I take all the players from the old teams and blend them in with the current rosters to play a GOAT roster. And, seeing all these MUT players, it's almost like I'm being trolled. And I say that jokingly. But as I load up Madden and I see all these players, man, and I can't get access to them. And I know maybe we're a small, portion of the community, but I know with most sports titles, you have a real diehard roster community. I know even with like NBA Live, back in the day when they had the NBA Live Series Center, they had a real serious modding community to where you can go for the PC anyway. And you might have like 5-6 different Kobe's you can download to use. You had the people creating their own Kobe's and using actual images for the face. And, it was a lot of the images and the players were better than the ones that shipped for the game. And there was a guy on the OS forum when Madden 25 dropped for the 360. And don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure he had a crack for the 360 where he can pull images from old versions of Madden and use them, for his roster. So you playing with like Rod Woodson, it wasn't just a guy that you edited the name and gave him some stats. It actually had Rod Woodson's face and everything. And so I just wondered, like I said, it seems like they're kind of getting away from giving us a lot of ability to modify the roster. And I was just wondering, with the MUT thing growing like it is, it's a shame that we can't get those players and kind of use them like we like. You know what I mean? And I'm sure other people agree. I'd be willing to even buy a roster pack. If they had a lot of these old guys in there, and not even the greats, but just guys we grew up watching and recently retired guys, Bettis, and I'm a Steelers fan. And, a lot of our great linebackers and, some of our old rivals. You had Keenan McCardell for the Jaguars. And, I really enjoy that aspect of the game. And I really enjoyed Madden 25 on the 360 for that reason alone. Man, I had a blast with those rosters from No Less Forum. So I was just wondering if the guys or the developers had given you guys any insight on that or what you guys thought about that, or with the MUT thing growing like it is. I think a lot of those old players and their likenesses, you got those MUT cards, if they could just use those for the the roster mod for the guys that don't play MUT. I think we get a lot more enjoyment out of those modified rosters. So just want to know what you guys thought about that, and if you could maybe poke the developers and see what they thought about it. It's easy. It seems like it'd be something easy to do, but I know, sitting at home is easy to say that. It may be, a major undertaking for them, but I could just tell they kind of got away from that. So just want to see what you guys thought about that, about the, maybe supporting the roster communities a little bit more, especially with these with the MUT thing going like it is now.
Mm. Well,
definitely. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Give your feedback on that.
Oh, okay. No, I feel where you're coming from with it. See, what I think is, I haven't really spoke to the devs about that really because our main thing that we focus on the most is gameplay tangibility as far as football is concerned. So I'm not really into the, looking at, Madden to me is not at a point where I'm going down there where my concern is being able to edit rosters. You know what I'm saying? It's not at that point yet, to me, where it's okay. All right, the game is there, gameplay and all that is tight. Now we're talking about getting these players in there. Like, I want to be able to modify this and add that guy. Like, I think that it's something that would definitely make a return. I believe so, even though I understand why they would take those players out and put them in mud the way they would, because so in that way it makes it more of an intriguing, element of, you got to earn that player, so to speak. But at the same time, if we go to all the old Maddens, back then, you had all the classic teams and everything already in the game, and you even had those Madden cards. So, so I definitely understand. Like, yeah, it should make its way back. But what I kind of think that, I think that overall, because they're building this franchise back up and trying to get it back up, to that point of greatness, I think that along the way, it's like that's something that would have to go by the wayside to get something that would be more of a higher priority issue, like either issue or addition or re-addition or whatever to add in first. Then, okay, now that we got this in here and all that took care of, now we can go ahead and bring that stuff back in and it'll be no problem. So I think that's something that, yeah, definitely would make its way back. Just, I don't think it will be until Madden is like I said, at a suitable point where they would go and make that move.
Okay. Yeah, and I kind of feel the same way. And I will say this: I haven't heard much talk on that, if any. And I think one of the primary reasons would be money. I think the people who make the real decisions are going to say, "Hey, well, we can make money for that." And like Smitty has said many times, you used to just have those things in the game, and I think there is value for that crowd, that wants to just play with the greats without having to deal with MUT, because I'm not a MUT player. But I think what they could do, excuse me, and what I would definitely do is I can mention this, maybe they, allow more editable options or rosters, like, more detail will allow you to do more stuff like that for that crowd. Because, if they look at the numbers, I'm sure, like you said, the crowd might not be huge. So it's not like it's going to hurt them in the long run monetarily, because you got, guys like you and even myself, we ain't going to play much anyway. So you're never going to get the dollar. So why not allow me, my crowd, have some option to play with an old school player or, old school roster. So, yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming from, but I think MUT is the reason why it's going to take a little longer for that to come back, as long as, as well as what Smitty said, maybe it's not on the top priority list. But, great point, man. Great call. We appreciate that. So we'll go ahead and grab the next call here, and I believe it is, wow, I can barely tell. Both callers have been waiting the same amount of time, and it's a different 12 seconds. So 407 will come in first, and then after that we have the other 757 who's been calling regularly. So let's go ahead and get 407 in. We got you in live. Thanks for calling. What's going on tonight?
Hey guys, what is up?
Yo, what up,
going on?
Where to begin? Where to begin with this community and E3? As far as E3 goes, well, let me start with Joe Montana. I don't have any expectations for Joe Montana. I haven't mentioned the game at all, except for one video I did talking about that madness about the 3-second videos. But other than that, I've just been taking a wait and see approach, and I've seen or heard nothing from them to keep me from that. I'm just going to wait and see what the game is. What have we really gotten outside of those 3-second clips of video and the occasional cryptic tweet from Damon Groh? Just a whole bunch of guys speculating, guessing, fantasizing, what have you. So if they show up and they bring it, great. If not, then, I don't see how the game can be anything other than DOA. I hope it doesn't happen. I think that a lot of people are projecting their hope of what they want the game to be and allowing that to cloud their reality. I mean, we can only go by the stuff that we've seen as far as the trailers that EA has put out so far, but EA is stacking up. They're stacking up Madden, FIFA, Live, back to back to back, and they're doing it early. They're not fools. There's a reason for this. They're bringing something. And I feel pretty confident about what I think Madden's going to be this year. I'll be shocked if it isn't what I think it's going to be. And as far as Live goes, the thing with Live is that Live has to change the way the game looks and the way the game responds to user control when you have that controller in your hand. It's still not a very user-friendly game to play. It's very difficult to create space to perform very simple basketball functions. And until they change that, and until they change the way the game looks aesthetically, people aren't going to give it a chance. And that's a shame because, as I told you, SimFBall, there's a core there. There's a core that makes sense there. But until they change the way the game looks and the way the game flows and feels and you have the controller in your hand, it's going to be behind and people aren't going to give it a shot. So they had to change those two aspects first and foremost. And again, as far as Joe Montana, who knows? I'm just sitting back and waiting along with everybody else. The two games I'm looking forward to the most is NBA Live, because I feel like that the core is there. It just needs everything else. And PES 16. I mean, if you want to talk about trailers, if you haven't seen the PES trailer yet, I mean, that's some serious eye candy. Oh. And that's going to give FIFA a run for its money. I have a whole lot of content of NBA Live, NBA 2K, as far as various AI comparisons and whatnot, and a whole lot of PES and FIFA stuff. And there's going to be a lot of good games to choose from this fall. And if Joe Montana doesn't grab people, they're going to be DOA. People are not going to give it a shot. Joe Montana has to not only attract the YouTube niche following, they have to attract a person like me who is a sim gamer that likes Madden, that enjoys Madden, and also the casual who likes Madden, because the YouTube niche is not going to be nearly enough. They have to grab us right away at this point, and they only have that one day to do it at E3. Social media will help us to some extent to spread the word, but you're not going to grab the people like myself and the casual Madden gamer with, 1 day of E3 and 3.5, 4 weeks before release. That's just the reality of it. So I hope whatever they're doing works. Otherwise, Twitter and YouTube's going to be an ugly place next week. So I hope you guys, keep on hanging in there, bring us the content, and I'll talk to you all later.
Yeah, and well, Kia, man, I always love this perspective, man. We thank you for calling, and it's not much to say to follow that up. I mean, what he said, I agree with it wholeheartedly. I mean, everything he said. NBA Live, if you get that, and listen, this is a guy who actually plays the game and has enough, unbiased opinion to say it's ugly. It is an ugly game, and it is. But if you take time to play it, man, I'm gonna tell you, man, Live has basketball going on. So if it looks good, it's automatically competing. Like he said about Pez, Pez, I got to give him and Smitty the credit for even getting me involved with looking at Pez. Pez, go download the demo right now and play around with it. For Pez 15. That player movement is phenomenal. And now those graphics in the new trailer, boy, I'm telling you. And the key thing that he said is there's a lot of games this fall that will be good. So it appears. And the thing that I picked up on is there's competition. There's competition with soccer. There appears to be competition with basketball. You see what I'm saying? And now it's like, what's the football world going to do? And this is the reason why, Joe Montana, you needed to be out here. You needed to be out here, man, because even a game like Pez, if I'm not mistaken, and Smitty can correct me on this, FIFA still outsells Pez, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
And
2-1.
People, yeah. And many people will say the gameplay is great, maybe even better than FIFA. And they've been around. So what do you think your 1 year product is going to do without you telling anybody about it? Like 757 said, unless they got that monster in the closet, not going to be good, man. But
yeah, and people, and one other thing too. Don't forget, Pez been coming out since PS2 days as Winning 11 Soccer, for people that remember that. They've been coming out for a long time. So, Pez, and that's why they said this is going to be the most licenses that they have vied for in this year's version of Pez. And they just re-upped their I think it's UEFA license. They just re-upped that for another 3 years. See, licensing matters, guys, but soccer is not football. The NFL is what everybody cares about. There's not 8, 10, 15, 30 million people that care about the CFL and the AFL like that. No, everyone cares about the NFL. Everyone does. So if you don't have that NFL license, it could be a heck of a lot of trouble for Montana. It's got nothing to do with, relying on just sales. It's got a lot to do with sustainability when we talk about that. So that's when we bring up that point. That's why we say it's so vital. Our community doesn't give 5 farts if it's unlicensed. We don't care. But the masses, though, when you're talking about the bottom line and all this cost for production and everything, to get this game out there and see it float and actually stay afloat, it needs that licensing. Because people are not going to sit there and spend 2, 3, 4, 5 years playing an unlicensed, waiting on a community member to go ahead and mod rosters. Like, people aren't going to do that. They're not going to stay with that. So that has to happen. I'm sorry. That's like saying, and I know we got another call or what have you. I just want to say this last thing. That's like saying, I'm gonna go to McDonald's or Burger King, ask for a Big Mac, and they're just gonna give me a raw patty, bun, sauce, lettuce, and everything else, and I just cook the burger myself. I'm gonna pay for it. I'm gonna pay the full price for it, but then I'm gonna go home and cook it all by myself. Why? You feel what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. Like, why buy this Joe generic game that you basically got to build yourself unless they come out and say this is the full intent? So, just wanted to make that point. So it's important they have that license.
Very important, man. So let's go ahead and move to the next call. We actually have 2, so we'll try to get you both in. We'll bring 757 in now and then 501. 757, we got you on, man. What's going on tonight?
What up, fellas, man? Oh no, man. I was gonna say it's about to go down, man. I mean, this week has been an exciting week, and I know, like I said, we all know the E3 coming up, man. But I'm a little disappointed, like just like everybody else in the community, with the Joe Montana showing and what they've been doing. How they chose to go about their business. But, like you said, I can say now you guys haven't said already, or that hasn't been said. Hopefully they got that fire, man, because the community has been waiting on it. I'm going to get the game regardless because I want to feel and play something different, but they definitely need to do something. And I think part of the reason is, with this Windows 10 thing, Microsoft wants to introduce that first because they can't really introduce Joe Montana without mentioning Windows 10. So they don't want to undercut the Windows 10, thing by, putting Joe Montana out there first. So I think they want to say something about that first, and then I think we'll get, the snowball effect with the Joe Montana, and then we'll start to see the big push. But yeah, you guys are right, man. We do need this game to sell because, we need that competition, like you guys have been saying, and everybody's been saying for a good little while now. But definitely, man, hopefully they got what we need, man. But on another note, with all these other, titles, sports titles, which is I'm kind of like Smitty. That's all I'm really looking forward to right now. But that'll hold me over until the fall. But with these other games as far as Madden and Live is concerned, man, Live is doing their thing, man. They're definitely showing us, that they are ready to come back and compete. That's what Joe Montana should have been doing, because when you've been, the underdog for so long, you got to kind of say, hey, I'm here now. I'm ready for you. You got to kind of call the other person out, you know what I mean, and say, hey, we here to stay too. So I just hope, with all these games coming out, Madden included and 2K, that they adjust a lot of the gameplay. I know now it's a lot about the marketing and the features and the mud, which I don't even play, but definitely I hope the gameplay is addressed with all the existing titles, man, and we definitely get what we need, man, because the community has definitely been hungry and thirsty. I know I am. I'm tired of playing 2K15, but hey, it is what it is, man. But definitely, man, I just wanted to put my little 2 cents in there, man. But definitely, hopefully we can, we'll get what we, been wanting next week, man. We'll see. I know the topics are definitely going to be crazy next week, man, with all the discussions that's going to be happening. So I'll definitely be tuning in, man, and you guys know what it is, man. Sim, holler at me, man. You already know.
Yeah, man. Definitely, man. If we can link up, man, that'd be great, man. And I look forward to, meeting some of you guys in person. So that'd be cool, man, if we can make that happen. But I don't know how far, San Diego is from LA, so we'll see how that works. But let's grab this. We agree with, I know I can answer for Smitty. We just want to jump to the next caller. We right there with you. We agree with that. Everything you said, absolutely. Like you said, we've been saying that all night as well. So we definitely gonna see, man. But let's get this last call real quick. We had 7 minutes, 7.5 minutes. 501. We got you in live. What's going on, man?
It's JP Davis. What's up, y'all?
What up, JP?
Not much. Just got out of, we're having VBS this week at the church, so I'm helping out. So I just got out in time to make a call real quick. Luckily, I was able to get through. But, so I guess y'all are talking about Joe Montana right now. Is that, because I just came on, so I don't know exactly what you are talking about. So, I guess they're originally supposed to be coming out in July, so they're going to be handing out free copies of E3. I mean, it needs to be done by now if they're coming out in July. So, I don't see that happening for sure. So, I'm thinking that they're probably going to be coming out like October, November, or something like that, kind of like Madden 25 on, Xbox One, PS4 when it first came out, because I don't see any way they could come out when their original, release date target hit that, because they haven't shown anything. So I'm expecting to see a trailer and maybe some gameplay and stuff like that, but I don't have very high expectations for Joe Montana this year, but I hope that it does well so we can have competition and push both titles to more simulation and more of what we've been wanting all these years. So 2 good games. That's what I'm after.
Yeah. And now, what's your expectation as far as Madden is concerned? Like, what's your expectation on that?
My expectation for Madden is that it's going to be not everything we want, but it's going to be a lot closer than we've seen, to date. Like, I think they're going to do a lot this year, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they show at E3.
Cool.
So I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
Definitely. Thank you for calling, JP. And I like, I definitely like where you're going with Joe Montana and Madden. Those to me sound like realistic expectations. And it's funny because that's what we've been saying too, as far as Madden. Like, don't think for 1 minute. I'm saying this right now. Think about every single aspect of the game that you want done. Gameplay, CFM, presentation, et cetera, et cetera. Don't think for 1 minute that this is going to be the mega, the knock your socks off Madden. Well, we've been telling you this for 2 years now. It's a progression. Remember what we said. Each year, you're going to see more and more and more and more. And then eventually, it'll just start getting to the point where it's just sprinkles. like MLB The Show. You know, I think Madden 16, I think when everyone sees everything that's on the table and we can talk about all that you already know and talk about stuff that you don't know yet, there's still stuff, even gameplay, that hasn't been talked about. I think this football community, you guys on the phone here tonight and guys who just follow the football gaming community, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that you would be able to say, okay, all right, they're trying to change. They're actually trying to make a good game. I don't think there's a doubt in my mind that that's going to happen. Now, like I always say, you're going to have to play these games. I mean, I don't know if the stuff that's going to pop out. Now, for some of you, it might pop out when you see it at E3. Who knows, man? Because remember what happened with Madden 15. A lot of people, when they saw it at E3, they was like, I don't know. But people that was at E3 gave it high marks. You know, I remember even, kicking it with Steve Noah, and he was like, hey, man, I see what they're trying to do. I can't wait to see what they're going to do next year. And that's how we've been looking at Madden since we've been behind the curtain. Each year, it's like they're following the original plan that they told us. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we'll leave it at that, man. I'm just glad that it's getting close to that point. But you got anything to add to that, Smitty?
No, that's basically it right there. I mean, we look at it. I mean, I know back then people would look at it as a negative thing when it comes to, if a game comes out, like Madden 15 just came out and you're already talking about what the next one needs. Oh man, game must be bad. Like, no, we're not saying that the game's bad at all. But what I'm saying is that people, like Rex pointed out in multiple interviews, there are things that are happening in this game that people are going to there were things in the game that he even alluded to as far as what was already going to happen in this year's title. And some things he literally said was going to happen and be expanded upon in this year's title. And I definitely can't. And see, one thing, depending upon everything that's shown next week, I definitely can't wait, because there are going to be things that I'm definitely going to talk about from what he literally said. And this is why I said months ago, if you paid attention to the interviews, you would already know what's coming in these games. That's why when it comes to, and I'm not just saying, don't just do it with EA. I'm not just with Madden. I'm saying any game you play, if you pay attention to what they're working on and you pay attention to what is in the product and play it objectively, not subjectively and thinking that Madden is going to play and it's going to be 2K, or if you play Madden and it's supposed to be some completely out-of-body experience. No, I'm talking about play the game for exactly what it is and see what they're doing based off of what they tell you and what the game gives you. I'm telling you, you will know, you will be able to tell, okay, I see what these dudes are doing and I see what track they're on. And that's the main thing we press and we preach and we emphasize here. See the game for what it is and go from there. Don't make it something that it's not, because you're always going to be disappointed if you do that. And that goes for all games. So that's my feeling of it, but I can't wait till next. Like I said, can't wait. 4 days away. Can't wait, man. Cannot wait.
Absolutely, man. As we have a minute left, I just seen what could be a tragedy to these finals, man. LeBron just took a shot going out of bounds. It looked like his head hit the camera, like his hand was covered in blood. So I don't know what's going on there. He might need some stitches or something, but they definitely don't need that, man, because tonight it looked like the Warriors are back in business. They still don't have a lot of points, but Warriors are definitely the better team so far. This is going to be interesting to see what this is, man, because, if he's bleeding, he can't be on the court. Wow, they don't need that. But, yeah, man. Real quick, guys. Oh, Jesus, we only got 10 seconds. Next week, we're going to try to have a show. If I can't make it, because obviously I'll be traveling back on Thursday, Smitty's going to reach out to 757. Maybe he can host. But I will definitely be doing something, some impromptu videos or a show or something. But follow me on Twitter and we'll get more to that. We're about to get cut off here. I'm just going to keep talking until it cuts us off. But yeah, man, I'll keep you guys informed. Like I said, we may do a pop-up show maybe Monday night or whatever. We'll keep you informed. But as of now, that's it for tonight. Let's get excited for E3. We'll be back at you guys very soon. Peace.
Peace.
Once again, guys, thank you for tuning in. And if you want to interact with me live, come on by Sim Standard Radio every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, along with Smitty and Azure Effect. If you want to give us a call, you can reach us at 914-338-0794. Of course, for more content, go ahead and click the link above. All right? Until next time, lights out.